So I've gone to start my next project and I've realised that I don't have the size mould that I want. And I really want to be able to cast a big block like this. Now you guys normally see me casting containers like this, but these have round edges and I really want to make one that has some nice square edges. Now I'm sure I could just go online and find the one I want, but I really want one now, and the only way to do that is to make my own. So to make my mould, I only need these three things: my silicone rubber, my inner void, and my outer container. The silicone that I'm using today is made by the same company that I get my resin from, Just Resin. Now they sent me this sample to try and it'll soon be available to buy on their website. The only difference being this one creates a blue mould and I think the new one's going to be more of a purple look. Using this silicone is super easy. It's a 1:1 mix ratio and I'm just going to measure it out using one of my paint mixing cups. Then I'm going to take my void and glue it inside the container. I'll do that with some super glue. You'll also notice that I've put some packing tape on top of the timber here. That just makes for a nice smoother finish, because you need to remember whatever void you're using, if it has any imperfections on it, the silicone's going to mold to that, so your mold's going to have the same imperfections. So now I'm just going to pour 200 ml of each. Now it's really important that you mix this thoroughly and you want to try and go for one uniform colour. So in this case we're going for a light blue colour, but like I said before, this won't be the final colour choice. I think they're going to go for more of a purple one. Now I'm not too sure how much silicone I'm going to need, so I'm going to mix up 2. One thing I do like about this silicone is that it has a half-an-hour pot life, which is really good if you want to degas the silicone. Now this step isn't necessary if you don't want to, but if you're going to cast some intricate pieces like chess pieces, you might want to degas it just to help get the bubbles out. So now that the silicone's degassed, I'm just going to pour it over the void. Now once all your silicone's poured, you can give it a couple of taps on the bench if you want, just to help bring any air up, but apart from that, you're basically finished. And one other thing, if you're prone to making a mess, you might want to put some gloves on. So it's been about 18 hours, and we're now hard as a rock, or hard as silicone. So now our next task is to try and get it out of this container. Now I don't think it's going to be easy because it's such a big mold, but we'll see how we go. I knew that was going to be hard. I think if I was to do that again, I'd create a wooden box around it. That way I could just unscrew it and take it apart. So all that's left to do now is get our wooden void out. And you can see here where some of the silicone crept under the void here, but that's okay. Once we get it out, we can trim that up with a blade. Once you get it moving and you start releasing the suction effect, it's not too bad. Although I think when I do go to cast in this, definitely going to have to use mold release. That is one big ass mold. Now while trying to get that void out, I did unfortunately split the top here. It's nothing too major. It was just that my sausage fingers are just too big to get in there. But if I wanted to, I could trim that down. But I did make this with the intention that it was going to be taller than I needed, because I really never wanted to pour resin right to the top. So that won't be too much of a drama. But apart from that, I think it turned out pretty good. One other thing I might do before I attempt my first cast is to build a box around this. That'll just prevent these walls from bulging out once I put the resin inside. Well, that's all for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to check out my next video where I'll be using this big mold to make my next project, and also keep an eye on Just Resin's website for when this becomes available. I think the possibilities will be endless.